Are you thinking about purchasing the Canon imagePROGRAF Pro-1100 printer? Or have you just purchased one and want to know how to set it up? Well, in this video, I'll provide you all the key details on the Pro-1100, why I bought one and where from, show you how to set it up, both the hardware and the software. I'll talk you through how to make your first print, how to manage paper types and ICC profiles using Canon's media configuration utility. I'll show you how to find out how much your prints cost using Canon's Accounting Manager software. And of course, print some glorious A2 photographs. I'll also show you some options for displaying your own prints. And finally, I'll share my thoughts and comments on this printer. Before we get cracking into the detail of this video, I just want to cover off a few points. Now, the goal of this video is to share with you my personal experiences of this printer and how to set it up. I'm not actually trying to convince you to buy one, and no one is paying me to make this video. So I have no vested interest in if you subsequently buy one or not. But hopefully the information in this video will help you make an informed buying decision or help you set one up if you've just bought one. Next, this video is rather long and it may contain segments that you aren't interested in. That's fine, I take no offense to that. So I have included chapter markers throughout this video, so feel free to skip about as you see fit. You'll find those chapter markers in the video description below, or you can skip about on the timeline just below the bottom of the video. I've also shortened some of the sequences in this video. Making you watch progress bars or watching applications load doesn't add any value to the video. And finally, I won't be comparing the Pro-1100 to other printers. This is the only printer I have, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I did have a Canon Pro-300, but I've now sold that to fund the 1100. And of course, if you have any questions, feedback, or if you already own a Pro-1100, do let me know in the comments below. Okay, that's all the housekeeping out of the way. Let's dive in to the rest of the video. Okay, let's start off by talking about the specifications of the Pro-1100. Now, I'm not going to cover all the specifications in detail, just some of the main highlights. First of all, it has new Lucia Pro 2 pigment inks. There are 12 80ml ink tanks, including a chroma optimizer and a matte black ink. Estimated print life is around 200 years. Prints should also have deeper blacks, richer blues, and smoother color graduation compared to previous models. It supports USB, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet connectivity. It also has a 3-inch color LCD screen, which disappointingly isn't touch. It can, however, make prints up to 3.27 meters in length, though it should be noted that it doesn't have a paper roll feed. It prints up to A2, plus it has new paper sizes and borderless options. It also supports some of Canon's great software, including Professional Print and Layout, Media Configuration Utility, and Accounting Manager, all of which I will cover in this video. It measures 723 by 435 by 285 millimeters and weighs just over 32 kilograms with print head and inks. It is a big printer, but actually it's only a little bit bigger than my previous Pro-300. It actually fits in the same unit as my previous printer, and that unit is approximately 657 millimeters wide and 480 millimeters deep. Now, if you want to see a full list of specs, I'll include a link to the product page on Canon's website. So why did I buy a Pro-1100 printer? I've owned a couple of Canon printers. I bought my first one, which was the Canon Pixma Pro 10S, which is then followed by the imagePROGRAF Pro-300 a few years later. Both very good printers, capable of making excellent prints. But there were two main things I was looking for when moving to the Pro-1100. First of all, I wanted it to be capable of making A2 prints. I love printing my photographs, and being able to print them even bigger was something I really wanted to do. I also wanted to try and make my printing more cost effective. Now, paper is a fixed cost, but the cost of ink per milliliter varies significantly between printers. Based on today's prices, for example, the cost per milliliter of ink for the Pro-300 is about £1.13, where the cost per milliliter for Pro-1100 ink is significantly lower at 63 pence per milliliter, almost half. Yes, the tanks are bigger, so there's more expense in replacing those tanks, but the cost per milliliter of using it is considerably lower. So they're the main reasons why I bought the Pro-1100. But where did I get it from? Well, I got mine from Fotospeed. Now, many of you will know I am a Fotospeed ambassador, but they most certainly didn't give me this printer. It was paid for by me through my work as a professional photographer and through the sale of my Pro-300. So no one is paying me to make this video or has any input into it. And as I said earlier, I'm not trying to convince you to buy one either. I just want to share my experience of using the printer so you can make your own informed decisions. But as I said, I am a Fotospeed ambassador, so I will be, for the most part, using Fotospeed papers, and I will show you how I use their free custom ICC profiling service. I do recommend that you get your Pro-1100 printer from Fotospeed, so I will include a non-affiliate link in the video description below. And just one last bit of Fotospeed information. If you haven't already downloaded it, check out their free ebook, The Art of Printing. You can view it online or download the PDF. It covers everything from the benefits of printing, preparing your images for print, paper selection, types of printers, and ideas for displaying your prints. I'll include a link for it in the video description below. But without further ado, let's have a look at how you set up your Canon imagePROGRAF Pro-1100 printer. One more thing before we get cracking as well. I am probably filming this video over a number of days, even a number of weeks, so don't be concerned if there's no continuity with myself, haircuts, clothes, that kind of stuff. And I'm also in a new photography space here in my house, so this is probably likely to change as the video goes along as well. It's a bit of a moving target, shall we say. So, but don't panic about that. So, unboxing. Why am I doing the unboxing? Well, it's just really just to see what you get for your money, what's in there. I suspect it's probably not a lot. Honestly, I haven't looked in there. It is a big old box, heavy, really heavy, 30 kilos I think it was. A real job getting it upstairs by myself and actually getting it up on the table, but I suspect most of that bulk is with the printer, which is obviously an A2 printer, so it's gonna be heavy. So I'm gonna unbox it. I'm not gonna actually film me unboxing. I'll get the stuff out of the box, show you what you get, and then we'll probably go into the more interesting stuff, which is setting the printer up, getting it ready for its first print. Welcome back. That didn't take very long. Once I got it out of the box, there's a lot of tape, a lot of safety tape that Canon put around their printers for packaging, a lot of cardboard around the printer as well. So it was very securely packaged, I have to say. But I've got everything unboxed now. Obviously, I've got the printer here. Heavy, yes. But you know what, physical size is reasonably comparable to something like my Pro-300. It's a little bit bigger, but it's sitting on the same desk. I'll give you some close-ups of it later on. In the box, so setup instructions. This is it, really. That bit of paper. You plug it in, and we will go through it. You plug it in, and off you go. What else did I get? Power cord, obviously. This looks like the print head. And then there's many of these ink cartridges, way bigger than what I'm used to as well from my Pro 10S and Pro 300 days. This is actually one of the reasons why I bought this printer. It should be more economical, even though they're bigger and more expensive. So I've got all those to install. Got some free Canon paper, Photopaper Pro Luster A3. So I think it was some A2, which would have been nice, but we'll almost certainly print an image off on this paper. But because I got my printer from those great folks at Fotospeed, they've also included me one of their test packs. This is their Photo Inkjet Papers Photo. Did I say that properly? Photo Inkjet Papers Photo Test Pack. And it's got a whole range of papers in there for me to try out. There's a PF Luster, different weights, PF Gloss, Photo Smooth Pearl, etc, etc. I'm not going through them all. But there's a good, I don't know, 20 sheets in there, 10 different papers, 2 sheets each. So that's quite handy. So if you're new to Fotospeed papers and printing, that's going to be a great little addition to get you going as well. And that's it. That's all you get in the box, really. I'm not really surprised there's no CD. Who has a CD drive these days? So we'll just move on to the next phase, which is we'll actually get this printer physically set up. First thing it needs me to do is to plug in the power cord, so I'll get that sorted, and we'll come back and we'll start the next segment. Right, let's get the printer physically set up, that means pretty well getting the print head in and the ink. So I will skip through some of this because watching me install ink tanks is probably not also the greatest viewing experience. So I've put active track in this camera, so when I move about, you can kind of see hopefully what I'm doing. So I've plugged the printer in. I've not done what it says is turn it on yet, so I'll turn it on. Fingers crossed it turns on. Yes, turned on. It's got this little LCD display there. It's just asking me what language I want. I'm just going to press no touchscreen. Unfortunately, that would have been nice for Canon to put that on a more up-to-date printer. English, set to English, yes. Got to put the date in. What is the date? Oh, it knows the date, 30th of April. First thing it's asked me to do is to come down here. You can see it just says flap here, and this is where the ink tanks go, and they're all clearly labelled down there at the bottom. So the little graphic is now telling me to get those cartridges out, and I've got to do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. So I'm going to pause the recording here, come back to you when that's done. Well, that was exciting for installing ink cartridges, but really simple to do, I have to say. They only go in one way, clearly, they've only fit one way. They're easy enough to just slot in, and then that's it done. So the printer is now detected that I've got all the ink cartridges in, and it's just doing some other bits and pieces now. I suspect that the next step will be to install the print head. This I will need to be really careful with, because you definitely don't want to damage this. So give that a minute, and we'll see what the next step is. Just going to get ready now to install the print head, which I've got, which is very securely packaged as well in here. So there, so we're going to be really careful with that. So it's asking me to get that installed. And it's got a little picture here, tells me how to do it. I have to say the instructions on the screen are quite clear and concise. Right, no need to panic. That was remarkably simple. Just slot it in, drops in nice and easy, cover over the couple of clasps, and now it's doing its thing. So that's all the physical aspects of that printer installed. The ink's in, the print head's in, it's powered on. I suspect it's, yeah, you hear it making a noise. It's going to do a lot of things now. So again, pause the video for a minute, and I'll come back to you when this has done its thing. I'm back. Quick thing, it's asking if I wanted to do an alignment. So I've put in some plain A4 paper there as suggested. So I'm just going to do, you can do it later, it does say, but I think we'll just do it now. So I think while it's doing that, I'm going to head to the Canon's website. I'm going to download the latest software for this printer, the 1100. So I've got a head start, but I will take you through that process of the installation of the software as well. But in the meantime, let's do it. It's print head alignment, and I'll come back to you again shortly. Okay, that's all done. So I'm going to go in and set the Wi-Fi up. I'm not going to show you that again because that's not really of interest, it's quite specific to my needs. So we'll get the printer connected to the Wi-Fi network, and then we'll move on to the computer and get the software set up. One last thing before I connect my computer to the printers, I'm just going to check the firmware. This one says 1.020. I'm going to see if there's an update. Update is not required, so it's at the latest version. I'm happy to install updates, but I like to see them first. That's why I said no to automatic updates. Okay, we'll finally get to the bit where we're going to install the software that allow us to connect my computer to the printer. Welcome to this blank void of a space, which is my new working space at the moment. Obviously with my new printer, I'm going to hopefully decorate this wall full of amazing prints, so it should hopefully look a bit less like a big white void. So what I've done is I've gone onto the Canon's website. I'll bring up the screen share so you can see. There's lots of different ways I could probably set this up. There's individual software, but I'm just going to try it with the master setup here. Windows has obviously detected my operating system, and we'll use that to see what software installs, and hopefully it will just be a really easy process and get myself connected to my printer. So this master setup is running, so we'll just click OK because it's English. Place of residence, I am in Europe, last time I checked. So I'm going to start the setup. So I'm going to agree to the license agreement. I'm not going to allow it to collect optional information. That's optional, and that other one is optional as well. So I'll just do the mandatory one, which is to agree to the licensing. It does say here, if you do not agree to send information that's necessary to use the services, you will not be able to use the services provided on the basis that you're sending such information. A pretty awful written message, I have to say. And it was the same in the printer as well, because some of these don't really like the tone of the messages, but it doesn't actually say what those services are. So I'm going to assume it's nothing to worry about, and it is optional as it does say, so I'm going to say okay anyway and let it do its thing. Well, that's good news. It's found my printer quite easily. Just click on next. And it's successfully connected. Well, according to this, it's all ready to go and I'm able to print. Well, that's another annoying thing there by Canon. I have to click and go to a website, and the first thing it shows me is signing up to a print service where I can have auto ink delivered. A lot of pushing towards services here, but I don't have to do that, so I'll just close that window down, I think. Okay, so I've gone into the Windows control panel now and had a look at the printer properties, and I can see it's all set up there. It's connected to the printer. I can see the ink levels. So I'm just about there, ready to make my first print. Now, I have a preference. I've been using Canon printers for a while. I actually like using their proprietary print layout software as opposed to the native interfaces and things like Lightroom. So I'm actually going to download that first, and that should be me ready to make my first print. So I'm going to go back to the Canon's website, Professional Print and Layout version 1.6. So I used this bit of software extensively when I had my Pro-1100. So I'm going to download that. So I'm just going to quickly run through the setup. So I've got the software installed. I've just opened up Lightroom. I'm just going to check I can see the printer using that software. So I've got an example image here of Bowman's nose. So I'm going to File, Plugin Extras. There's the software registered. It's going to fire up. And notice in the printer here, still got my old Pro-300 printer. So I'm just going to do Add Printer, Find. And now I've got Pro-1100 available to me. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to quite make the print yet. There's just another couple of bits of software that I want to install that I'll quickly just go over with you on the screen, and then we will finally make that first print. First one I'm going to install is the Media Configuration Tool. I will talk about this in a bit more detail later on in this video. Next one I'm going to install is the Device Management Console. Next, I'm going to install the Accounting Manager software. This will allow me to track costs of how much each print cost me to make. Okay, that's all the software installed, so I'm just about done. Certainly, the software is configured to state that I can now make a print confidently to the printer. I've only got one very, very important setting that I need to change on the printer. So the most important setting I want to change is if I go into, where is it? Various settings, printer settings, all the way down to power control. Okay, I do not want to use power control. So what this will actually do is this will stop the printer turning off automatically. And I don't want it to turn off automatically because when you turn it back on, sometimes it will have to do a cleaning cycle, which uses more ink. So by keeping the printer on all the time, and it barely uses any power anyway when it's not printing, is that it will hopefully save me on ink because it will be doing less cleaning cycle. So I'll be in charge of when I turn off the printer. So that's a really important setting, so I'm happy with that. Finally, I'm absolutely sure of it, and you can tell I've been doing this for the first time out of the box, without reading any instructions. This is how kind of it may seem a bit, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, because I've never done this before with this printer. So I've taken you through a real life process of how to get this printer ready to make its first print. But yes, I am 100% confident, maybe 99% confident now that I'm ready to make a print. I'm certainly going to go into the print interface and do my first print. So that's the next stage, and I'll see you again in a minute. Hello and welcome back. In this part of the video, we're going to do the most exciting bit, and that's make our very first print with the Canon Pro-1100 printer. I'm really excited about it, More than that, it's just I want to start getting some prints on this wall. I've been living in or working in this big white void that is my new photography space now for several weeks, and these walls are just screaming out to get some prints on them. So I'm really excited to finally be making the first print. Now I'm going to keep things reasonably simple for myself. I'm going to use some of this Canon Photo Paper Pro Luster. Bit of a tongue twister that for some reason. A3, this is the paper that came with the printer. Now the reason I'm going to use this paper first is, first of all, I want to show you how easy it is to get really good prints from a printer. It doesn't actually have to be difficult. There's not too much complexity in it. I've got my picture here. I've got some paper that comes from Canon. That means all the profiles are both in terms of the configuration are on the printer and in the software, so it should be nice and easy for me to get the right paper type to give me the best chance of getting a good image. I will talk about Fotospeed papers later on. I do use a lot of them, and I'll talk about their profiling service as well, how to get the absolute most out of individual papers and printers. So I will cover that later, but just to start off with, we'll just use Canon's own paper and we'll print an image, and it'll be really exciting to see that come off the printer. So I'm going to jump into Lightroom. Now, as with many things in photography, particularly when it comes to computers, there are different ways to do different things. I've got my workflow the way I do it. I like to use the Canon's print software to print out the photographs, but you can easily do the same thing using the Lightroom interface or Photoshop's interface or any of the other editing software that you use or software you use for printing. I just happen to use it this way. I like the layout, I like the way it flows. It makes a good part of my workflow, but still, you should still get the same results when you're using this printer. So let's have a look at the image that we're going to photograph. I've got this picture that I took of Bowman's nose last year. For me, it's one of my favorite photographs I've ever taken of Dartmoor. There's a lot to love about this image, but I'm not going to go into image critique because that's not what this is video about. We're going to get this image printed. So I've got it loaded up here in Lightroom. As you saw earlier, I've already installed the relevant Canon software, so I just need to go into Plugin Extras and click on Canon Professional Print and Layout, which is a software that I want to use. Okay, that's that loaded up now. I'm just going to go through the options just to double check I've got the settings right, because this is how most prints go wrong. You don't select the right paper type or the right paper size, and that's typically how things can go a little awry. So I'm just going to go through the options and just check I've got everything correct. So the paper type I want is Photo Paper Pro Luster. Now this paper is A3, so I'm going to go A3, not A3 plus. This again, so mistakes that you made if you're not careful. So I'm going to go A3 and I'm going to put a 25mm border around it. I'll just flip that round again. Paper source is the top feed, so I'll show you that in a minute. Print quality, just leave it at highest. Clear coating auto. Alignment, no, all the slot stuff's already done. I've got all that configured there with my margin 25. I'm not going to spend too much time on these options here. This is where you can position the picture within the paper, how you can adjust the borders, but I'm quite happy at the moment with it just being generally set at 25mm all around. I'm going to come down here. Color management, I want to use an ICC profile, and the printed profile that I want to use is Canon Pro-1100 Photo Paper Pro Luster. So again, this is why I'm using this paper. Canon already supply me with a profile, which should hopefully get me 99, if not 100% of the way there of getting a color accurate print. I don't need to change any other options. There's quite a few options in there that you can go through as I just mentioned, but for the simplicity of getting my first print, that's all I really need to set. I've got the printer selected, I've got the paper size, the margin set, and the color ICC profile. Those are the core settings that I want to do. And really now, I think it's just a matter of hitting print. I'll just go through, double check it all. All I'm going to do now is hit print. What's the exciting moment as my first print from the Canon Pro-1100 comes off the printer. Right, going to load up some of this paper. So it's going to go in the top tray, which is this one just at the back here. There's another one right at the back, but I'll talk more about that later. So let's lift the flap up. I'm going to get a sheet of paper. It's quite obvious for this paper which side's which. So this is the glossy side. I'm going to slide that in. Cover that over. I'm going to tell the printer that I want to use A3, or that's what paper I've loaded, Pro Luster register. So that means that when I hit print there on the computer, it will double check what the settings of the printer are, and if there's any mismatch, it will give me a warning message. And I open up the front tray, and we're ready to go. Well, that was really exciting, watching my first photograph be printed by the Pro-1100. It's always an exciting experience watching one of your photographs come off the printer, but here it is, and I am really happy with it. I mean, it just goes to show it doesn't require too much effort to get a really high quality print out of your printer. I've just gone and made sure that I've set the software up properly, I've selected the right paper type inside the software so the printer knows exactly what it's getting. And I've come out with a really high quality print. And I really just wanted to go through this step just to show you how easy it is to get a high quality print. That printer literally came out of the box, set it up, put the ink tanks in it, installed the software, configured the settings for the photograph that I wanted to print, and away we go, and I've done it. Now you may be thinking, oh, that's because you've got a super expensive printer. Well, this is exactly the same process that I used when I had my Pro 10 and my Pro 300. So printing doesn't actually have to be difficult. Now there are certain things you can do to make life slightly easier for yourself. I mean, even though I've gone for a paper that's shipped with the printer, therefore the profile's there, so you know the chances of me getting a good print are pretty high. I also do run a calibrated workflow, so my monitor is the most important bit. It is calibrated, and I have done a monitor calibration video, so I will include a link for that in the video description below, so do check that out. But again, that doesn't have to be difficult either. So it is relatively straightforward to get a really high quality print, and I am extremely happy with that, the way that this is printed out. I like this luster paper. I have to admit, I'm really looking forward to getting into my Fotospeed papers, particularly because I've got an A2 paper there. But as a first print, I think that looks absolutely glorious. I think anyone would be happy to display that on their wall. So that's the first print done. Like I say, just wanted to show you that, just to show you how straightforward it can be from unboxing your printer to getting your first high quality print out of the printer. It doesn't have to be difficult. But we're going to do some even more exciting things in the next part. Hello and welcome back, and in this part of the video I'm going to talk all about custom ICC profiles, how I go about getting them, how I install them, and then how I use them. But the first question you might ask is, what is an ICC profile? Well, to put it simply, it's a little configuration file for your printer that tells it how to print colour accurately. Now you may be thinking, well, I already have a printer, I spent lots of money on it, surely it produces colour accurately. Well, yes it does, but colour reproduction can vary from paper to paper. So what the ICC profile does is it tells it how to produce a certain colour against a certain standard, that's the ICC standard, for that paper that you're using. So in other words, your ICC profiles are unique to each paper, ink and printer combination. Now Fotospeed, they offer a free custom ICC profiling service. So you can take a paper like this one here, which is their Natural Smooth 310. I can create a colour chart, which I'll show you how to do, send it off to them, and then they'll send you back via email a custom ICC profile which you can install and use with the printer. And this will help, well, this will help do two things. It will improve your colour accuracy because that ICC profile is tailored to your printer, ink and paper, and it will also give you consistent results. And if you've got colour accurate results and consistency, that will also allow you to save time and, more importantly, money, because you won't be wasting ink and paper. So Fotospeed, with their custom ICC profiling service, you can get that service for free for any paper that you buy from Fotospeed. Fotospeed also offers some generic profiles, so you can go there and find your printer, such as the Pro-1100, and download a generic profile for a given paper type. Now that will probably get you 95% of the way there, but I would always recommend you get a custom ICC profile specific for your setup, and that will make sure that you'll get the best results. And given that it's free and doesn't take very long, well, there's really no reason not to do it. So initially I'm going to take you through the process of getting that custom profile, what you need to do here and how you send it off to Fotospeed. And then later on in this part, we'll show you how to install the files that they send you and then how to set that up on the printer. But let's start with the first part, how to start the process of creating your custom ICC profile. So how do you get a custom ICC profile from Fotospeed? Well, it's really easy. Basically, you print off a test chart and then you mail it off to them and then they email you back an ICC profile. I'm going to quickly go over the process, but basically you go to their website, you download the instructions plus the software that you need to print the test chart. I'm not going to go through every step of the process because it is all documented in their PDF, but I'll basically show you how you can go about printing off your test chart for your paper and then we'll send it off. So let's have a look at the computer. So on the left hand side, we've got the Adobe Color Printer utility. This is what I downloaded from Fotospeed, and the test chart that they also provide you as well. And we're going to print off that test chart and then mail it back via the postal service so they can scan it in with their hardware to measure those colors and then create that profile that will adjust the printer's color output to match those defined ICC standards. They give you the test chart printing instructions here, which I've got on the right hand side. This is a really detailed set of instructions on how to use this utility. Like I say, I'm not going to go through it all. It's got the instructions there for Epson printers, how to do it in Canon printers like I've got, and on Mac and PC. I'm on a Canon printer, so if we go to the Canon section, this is all the instructions here on how to set up the utility up, which I've already got running. So I've got the instructions here for the PC. So if I go to print setup, I've got that set to A4, which is what I need, and then I go to print, and I'm going to make sure I select the right printer. So I've got my Pro-1100 here, and we go into the properties. So the first thing I need to do is set the media type. Now I know that this natural smooth 310 paper is a matte paper, so I know I've got to go in here and I set this to, where is it? Matte photo paper. Fotospeed also supply you a document which lists out which media type you should use for each of their papers. That comes downloaded with the pack as well. On the media quality tab, I'm going to select the color intensity to manual, and I'm going to click on set. I'm going to go to matching. I'm going to use none. And I think that's all the settings. So I've got manual color intensity. I've got it set to matte photo paper, printer quality highest. I'm going to click OK. I'm now going to put a page of this paper into the printer, click on the OK button, and it will print out the test chart. Okay, so I've got my test chart printed here. What I'll do is I repeat this for all the papers that I have. I've got quite a few Fotospeed papers, 9 or 10 or something like that, so I've got to do this a few times. And then what I do is I'll put this in a stiffened envelope so it doesn't get damaged, post this off to Fotospeed. They then use their equipment to scan this in and measure these colors, and I will get a custom ICC profile for each paper that I have, and then they email me these back. It takes a day, sometimes two, depending on how many papers. I've got quite a big ask for them too, because I've got quite a lot of papers to get profiles for. So that gets sent off, and then when I come back, I'll show you what I do with those ICC profile files, how I install them, how I use some of the Canon utilities and get the printer configuration updated, and how that helps me manage my workflow. So I'll see you in a bit. Hello and welcome back, and thanks to the magic of the video, I already have my custom ICC profiles from Fotospeed, and I've downloaded them from email and put them on my computer. Let's take a quick look. So you can see a list of the profiles here that I've been sent. They're all named, obviously. And in the Windows world, at least anyway, to install them, all I do is right click and click on Install Profile. And what this does is it makes those profiles available to the Windows system and all the applications that sit within my PC. So that's Lightroom, Photoshop, Canon's own print software as well. I'll be able to select that profile from there. Now that's a really easy way of doing it, but I like to use Canon's media configuration utility to perform a few extra steps. Now these steps might seem a little convoluted, but what it allows me to do is allows me to define paper types on the printer itself, so that when I load a sheet of paper and I tell it what paper it is, it automatically selects the right Custom ICC Profiles. So it really minimizes the amount of scope for error, because there's nothing worse than putting one paper type in and then selecting a completely different profile and, well, you've wasted your print. So I'm going to go through those steps just to show you how I use the media configuration utility to set my printer up, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the printer. The first thing I'm going to do is going to use this little utility called Change Description. I'll include a link for it in the video description below. Certainly available for Windows, and what it allows me is it allows me to add in a description field into the ICC profile. So I'll just open up my Natural Smooth 310 profile that Fotospeed has sent me. Natural Smooth. And then I'm going to add in a description, which is, I think, limited to 20 characters. And then we'll save that. Next, we're going to install the profile. So here we have Natural Smooth. Install profile. You don't get any confirmation in Windows that it's installed. Now we're going to load up Canon's media configuration utility, which I downloaded previously in one of the previous sections of the video. Again, this is available from Canon's website, so you can get it anytime you want. And I'm going to connect it up to my printer. Okay, it's connected to my printer. I'm going to add a custom paper. So for this Natural Smooth paper, this is a matte paper. Again, you can reference that PDF that came with the profile and pack, and I think it's available in other places in the Fotospeed website that tells you the correct media type for Canon printers for each of their paper types. So the name and the operation panel, so this is a text that will appear in the printer. I'm going to say FS Nat Smooth 310, and we'll just use that for the same for the name of the printer driver. Click on Next. I'm going to update the media information on my printer, and it will go through and send that information to the printer. Click on OK, and we'll update the media information. This is a bit of a convoluted process. There's a number of dialog boxes you have to do and update information a couple of times, but it's worth bearing through. This is the properties here for the actual printer itself on Windows. So I'm going to click on Update Media Information, Start. The message now says that media information has been updated. Click on OK. So back to the media configuration utility, it says the custom paper's media information can be edited. Do we want to edit it? Yes, we do. So the only tab we want to change here is the ICC profile. So we'll click on Browse. So we select our profile, Natural Smooth, and we click on Update. It's just warning us we haven't done the paper feed adjustment, but we don't need to worry about that. Click on Yes. Click on Start to update the media information again, and it's just sending that updated information about the ICC profile to the printer. Click on OK. Here's the printer driver again. Click on Update Media Information, Start. That's that updated. You can close that down. Back at the media configuration utility, it's asking me, do you want to save the updated custom paper information as a file? So this will allow us to save all those little steps that we've done as a file. So if I had another Canon Pro-1100 printer and I've got things like the ICC profile and the names, I could take that file and then use the media configuration utility to read that file, save me having to repeat some of these steps. Good if you've got lots of printers, but I don't need to do that. Click on No. Okay, that's just almost done. I'm just going to go into Canon's print layout software. So I've just opened up Canon's professional print and layout software, and I just need to get it to update with the latest media information. So I'm going to File, Other Settings, Add Update Media Information. Do I want to update it now? Yes. That should be okay. So what I should be able to do now is I should be able to go to the printer, and when I load a new bit of paper in there, I should be able to select my FS Nat Smooth 310 on the printer itself. Let's go and take a look. Right, I've just loaded a sheet of the Natural Smooth paper to the printer here. I'm going to close over this here, and this brings up this dialog box on the printer. And this is where I tell it what media I've just loaded. So it's A4 page, and I go into the type, and I should now be able to scroll down and find my paper listed. So you can see I've already done this process for the Platinum Barita and Matte Barita papers. But if I go down here and I select Natural Smooth 310 and I click on Register, and what that means now is that the printer knows that there is a Natural Smooth paper in there. So let's jump back to the computer and see what happens in the Canon software. Right, I'm back at my computer now, and I'm in Canon's professional print and layout software. So under print settings here, media type, if I actually click on Get Information, it will go away, and it's already found that the media that's loading there is this Natural Smooth 310. Click on OK, and what that's done is it's set the media type correctly now. So I've got A4 page, and the important thing is if I go down here and I use the color mode, and I've got that set to Use ICC profile. And what I've done now is I've told the printer what paper it is. That printer knows what profile to use. I've told Canon software to get the information from the printer, and I've told it to make sure that you use the profile that's associated with that paper type on that printer. So it means I won't select the wrong ICC profile type, and it's a good sanity check. So if I got in here, it's still set to, I don't know, platinum Barita, for example, but I told the printer it's matte Barita paper, it will actually tell me there's a mismatch. You said, oh, you said in my software, my professional print and layout software, you wanted to use platinum, but you've got matte in the printer. So it gives you those kind of like little bits of couple of checks and balances to make sure that you've got the right paper type set and you're definitely using the right ICC profile. So all I really need to do now is go through these other 9 or 10 profiles, go through that same process. There's a lot of updating media information stuff to do. It's a bit of a drag, but hopefully that will show you that it makes it a lot easier to manage the paper types and make sure that you're using the right ICC profiles. And it's quite nice knowing what paper you've got the paper you've got the printer set up for. So hopefully that section was useful to you. Welcome back, and in this section we're going to talk about costs, everyone's favourite conversation when it comes to printing at home. How much does it cost to make a print? Well, that's not really a question I've been able to answer with any degree of accuracy until I got this printer. This is because with printers of the Pro-1100 and above, including the 1100 that I've got, you can use Canon Accountancy Manager software, which allows you to track costs. So it measures how much ink is used for each print, and you can add in the paper costs as well. So it should give you a cost per print. So I'm quite interested to see how much my printing actually costs. Before this, when I was using the Pro-300 and the Pro-10S, I kind of had to estimate how much ink was being used by the published yields that you used to get on Canon's websites for each of the ink tanks. So I'm going to jump into the Accountant Manager software, whatever it's called. We installed it in a few steps back. So if you want to see how that gets installed, just go back a bit in this video. Really easy anyway, there's not really much in the way of configuration options. So we're going to jump onto the computer and we'll start setting this up. Okay, I'm in Canon Accounting Manager software. First thing I need to do is connect to my printer. So click on this button here. I'm going to add the printer. Let's do a search. It's searching at the moment. Oh, click on search. Here we go. And it's found my printer, my Pro-1100 there. Stop searching. Add that printer. Next thing I need to do is I need to give it the admin password. So I'm going to go to advanced settings. You need to give it the admin password or it can't retrieve the logs from the printer. Now, if you want to know what the default admin password for your printer is, you can go into the LCD screen on the printer and go into system information and get it to display the password. So I'm going to just type mine in just now. That's great, I'm all authenticated. Click on add, click on OK. The software is now communicating with the printer and retrieving all the information. Now that we're connected to my printer, I need to add in the cost for the ink tanks and for all the papers that I'm going to use. So I click on this button here, which is configure the unit costs. And then for each of these ink tanks, I'm going to go through and going to set the correct capacity and unit costs. So each tank capacity is 80 milliliters, and the unit cost, if I was to get my ink from my friends at Fotospeed, would be £51.49. So £51.49. And then that's that set for the blue tank. Now I just need to go through and copy that, because the ink costs at the moment certainly are all the same for all the different tanks. So I'll just go through and copy those settings all the way down. Okay, that was quite boring, but at least it's all done. So I'm going to click on OK, and that's it. I'm going to go back in there now. I'm going to add in the paper information. I'm going to click on acquire printer information because it's going to pull back all those defined paper types that I did in a previous step. So if I click on add and I go to media type, I can find first of my papers. Fotospeed Matte Barita 310. So I'm going to enter the width and height. So the width of the paper is 21 centimeters by 29.7 centimeters. As you probably already guessed, you're going to have to repeat this for all the different paper sizes. So I've got some papers that I've got an A4, A3, A3 plus, and A2 now. So I'm going to have to do that, repeat that step again and again. So the number of sheets in each pack is 25. And the unit cost, how much it costs to get a pack of paper. So a pack of Matte Barita is £41.99. Click on start and click on OK. So I'm gonna have to repeat that task, I say, for all the different papers. But when that's complete, I'll be able to make some test prints, and it will look at how much ink is used, what the paper type is set and used, add those costs together and give me a true cost for how much that print cost. So I'm gonna spare you all that typing in information, and I'll come back to you when it's all done. Okay, so I've got that task done. Just a quick note, I made a little mistake when I was showing you the example on how to set the paper cost. Let's quickly jump back onto the computer and I'll show you. What I should have done is for each paper type, rather than that being on general purpose and then manually setting the size, I should say it's a cut sheet and then each of the paper sizes. So my list now looks like this. So I've got the A3 paper, A3 plus papers here, I've got some A2s, some A3s and some A4s. They're all listed there with the number of sheets in the pack and the unit cost. But it's important to say that you set that to cut sheet, not general purpose, and then manually enter the size, because you're going to do that once. So if you want different costs for different paper sizes, you have to do it that way. So I've got all my papers in, all the ink costs in. I'm just going to do, I will cover varying different sizes of prints and how much they've cost towards the end of this video, but I will just do one test print now just to check that it comes up in the software and I can see an actual cost. Right, okay, so I've made the print of this landscape photograph here. I printed it on Fotospeed's Platinum Barita 300. Let's jump into the Accounting Manager software and have a look at the job properties as it's logged. This is the output image size, which is an A4 paper. The total cost of this print was £1.88, really, rounding it up, of which £1.40 was the cost of the paper, and it was 48 pence in ink. So for less than £2, almost half the price of a cup of coffee, which is a standard unit of measurement I like to use, I was able to make this A4 print. Now I will go into some of the costs of some more examples later on in this video, all the way up to A2, so you can see how the cost is, but effectively it cost me less than 50p in ink. So that tool is going to be quite useful for seeing how much it really costs to print my images. Welcome back, and in this part of the video I'm going to make that first A2 print, the print that I'm going to hang on my wall, and frankly the most exciting bit of the video for me, because this is why I bought the Pro-1100. So one of the reasons why I bought the Pro-1100, so I could print big photographs and hang them on my wall. So let me show you a couple of things I've got to let me do this. First of all, I've got paper. So I've got this fantastic matte Barita 310 paper from Fotospeed in A2, obviously. And then once I've made the print, I'm going to put it in a frame. I've got this frame here, which I've had custom made from Picture Frames Express. So it's designed to fit my print exactly. So got the paper, got the frame, just need to make the print. So I'm going to take you through this really quickly, but I'll show you on the computer what we're going to do. So really simple, I've got my picture of Bowerman's nose here, taken last year around autumn time. To print it off, very simple, just going to go File, plug in extras, Canon Professional Print and Layout software. Right, let's set up the printer. So I'm going to click on Get Information. I've already told the printer that I've put matte Barita paper in at A2 size, so it's going to go ahead and retrieve that and correlate those settings with what I've got on my computer. So there, it's detected Fotospeed's matte Barita 310. And if you remember back when I used the media configuration utility, that's the paper type that I set up. So that's why it's labeled that way. So I'm going to click OK. So I'm just going to change the paper size to A2 margin 25. It's going to come from the top feed at the back of the printer. I'm going to change the quality to highest. Clear coating I will just leave on automatic. Alignment, I want that to be centered. Registered layout, one slot, which means I'm going to have one image there. So it's put it all laid out on the paper for me. I don't need to change any of the position, any of these other settings, such as position of the cell or its height. It's all done for me because I've selected A2 margin 25. Just to have a look through, not going to print any additional information. And really, that's it. Because I use the media configuration utility, it already knows which one of my custom ICC profiles to use, because it knows I put in matte burrito paper because I told it on the printer. So that workflow really starts to come together by doing all that sort of initial setup. So really now I'm going to hit the print button. Really the very most exciting bit is going to watch that A2 print come off the printer. I've got my print and I'm very, very excited. It looks amazing. Lovely, big, colourful A2 print. This is what photography is about. Creating prints from your photographs. Seeing them sort of large and bright and bold on paper is just the best way to experience your photographs. Now, in case you're wondering, so this took just under 10 minutes to print from sending the job. So I'm looking at the Account Manager software, clocked up 9 minutes 41 seconds. Ink, can you take a guess how much it cost me in ink? £1 34 pence in ink cost me to create that. That's not even the cost of a cup of coffee, so worth every drop as far as I'm concerned. Paper, you know, that's the most expensive thing. This beautiful, and it is beautiful, Fotospeed's matte burrito 310 paper. That was £6.18. £6.12 pence for the sheet. So giving me a total cost of £7.45. I think that's worth every single penny. It would have cost me more in petrol money to go and take this picture. So I am super happy with this. So I'm going to get it up in the frame and let's get it on the wall. There we have it. There's my A2 print all framed and on the wall. And in case you're wondering how I attach it to the wall, I just use these 3M command strip things. They're kind of like double-backed Velcro and they stick onto your wall rather than you hammering things in. I'll include a link for them in the video description below. They're really good, especially if you don't want to use traditional hanging hooks. Anyway, enough of that. That looks absolutely brilliant. I couldn't be happier. Such a great way to display my photography. Much better than looking at it on the screen. And now that I've done that, it's just time to sort of really open the floodgates and do lots and lots of printing. Many photographers will buy a Canon imagePROGRAF Pro-1100 because they want to make money from their prints by marketing and selling them. But that's not the only reason to buy one. Printing is also fun and an extension of your photography skills. There's nothing more rewarding than heading out with your camera, taking a picture, and then making a print of it. Something physical that you can hold in your hands. Your photography will also improve. You'll spend a lot more time looking at your photographs if they have been printed. You will look at your images differently and more critically. Your composition will improve. And more than that, photographs just look better in print. But that's all very well, but if you aren't selling your prints, what do you do with them? Let's look at a few options. The first option is just to make prints and leave them loose. Leave them on your desk so you can have a little look about them. You don't have to print them big, but this works well if you only have a little bit of desk space. My preferred option though, for loose prints, is to use an IKEA picture ledge, which you can see just behind me. This is a narrow shelf with a small ridge on it where you can rest the edge of the print on. It's quick and easy to display prints and you can sort of swap them out whenever you like. They come in a few sizes and I'll include a link for them in the video description below. Another option, which I've just started using myself, are self-adhesive boards. These lightweight boards come with a sticky side and you can attach your print. This gives your prints a little bit more weight and thickness, making them easier to handle. You can still display them on the IKEA picture ledge, but you also have a way to mount them on the wall as well. They're a great way to sort of display your prints at a local art exhibition or perhaps at your local camera club. They are one-time use only though, but they are relatively inexpensive. I'll include a link for those in the video description below. Now you can also use standalone mounts. These add a bit more style to your prints over the foam board option, but they are slightly more expensive. But they are reusable and have you've got more creativity over the look of the mounts. You can also mount your prints in a traditional frame. This is the best looking and most elegant option. I use picture frames when I want to sort of display a print for an extended period of time. A picture that has won a prize, or it's a photograph that I'm particularly proud of, just like the photograph of Bowman's nose that you saw me print and frame earlier. Now, I use Picture Frames Express for both my mounts and my frames, and I'll include a link in the video description for them below. My preferred way of mounting pictures on the wall is by using these 3M hanging strips, as they can hold a decent amount of weight, but they're also very easy to remove from the wall without damaging it. I'll include a link for those in the video description as well. And finally, a great way to display a portfolio of prints is by using one of these, a Fotospeed spring back binder. They come in a variety of sizes. I have A3 and A4 here, and it's really easy to add and remove prints from them. If you want a deeper dive into these spring back binders, I've already published a video all about these and how I set up my prints. I'll include a link for that in the video description below. Now, hopefully that's given you a few ideas, but if you want me to create a video that goes into these options in a bit more detail and to share with you some other creative ideas on what you can do with your prints, do let me know in the comments below. Well, all this printing is great, isn't it? But it all costs a lot of money, doesn't it? There are lots of factors that go into the cost of printing. There's the initial purchase cost of the printer. This can be a lot of money, especially if you aren't planning on making money from your prints. But that can also be balanced against the joy of printing your own images. Then there's paper. This cost for these can vary considerably. For example, a 10 by 15 centimeter sheet of Canon's glossy photo paper is about 28p per sheet, going up to around £1 per A4 sheet for their luster paper, up to £1.77 I think it is per A3 sheet of that luster paper. Fotospeed's very nice PF Luster 190 though is as inexpensive as 58p per A4 sheet. With Fotospeed's Natural Smooth 310, which I'm doing a video on very soon, it's £3.52 per A3 sheet. And another favourite of mine is Fotospeed's Matte Barita, which is £6.12 per A2 sheet. So paper costs can vary significantly as size, quality and weight change. But the one thing people always ask me about is the cost of ink. How much does it cost in ink to make a print? Well, let's take a look at some of the prints I've made recently. Now, so you know, I've got these costs from Canon's own accounting manager software, which I configured earlier in this video. They are exact, well, as exact as Canon say they are, because they say it's within about plus or minus 15%, but it should give us a good idea. And all the prints were made using the print quality set to highest. Let's take a look at these two photographs first, both of Dawlish Warren. These are printed on Canon's own glossy paper. This is 10 by 15 centimeters. The cost of this paper is 28p per sheet. So just so you know, I'm giving you today's costs. If you're watching this video in 6 months' time, print paper could be cheaper, could be more expensive. So these are just for approximate costs. These full bleed images cost 18p in ink, giving me a total cost of 46p each for a 10 by 15 full bleed image. Moving up to A4, so a picture here of Grimspound on Dartmoor. This is printed on Fotospeed's PF Luster 190. Paper costs 58p per sheet. Ink cost 52p, giving me a total cost of £1.10. Next, we got this picture of a beach on Iceland. This is printed on Fotospeed Smooth Cotton 300. This costs £1.40 per sheet for A4. The foam board that's attached to, 55p. And ink cost, just 37p, giving me a total cost of £2.29. The next option I've got is a mounted option here. So this picture of Glencoe here. This is again on the PF Luster 190. That gives me a paper cost of 58p. And the mount itself, £2.81, and the ink cost of 52p, giving me a total cost of £3.91. And the final example for A4 I've got here is another Iceland beach here. This is printed on Fotospeed's NST Bright White 315. That paper costs £1.68 per A4 sheet. The board 55p and ink 53p, giving me a total cost of £2.76. Sorry, I almost forgot one more A4 option, and that is a framed option here. Got a picture of Oak Tor on Dartmoor. This is using Fotospeed's Platinum Cotton 305 paper which costs £1.40 per sheet, 56 pence in ink, but the frame, which is of course reusable, £16.82, giving me a total cost of £18.78. Right, moving up in size up to A3 now. So here we've got a picture of Great Links Tour on Dartmoor. This is printed on Canon's Photopaper Pro Luster that I got with the printer. So the cost of this paper is about £1.77 per sheet. Ink cost £1, giving me a total cost of £2.77. Next up, another picture of Dartmoor. We've got East Mill Tour here. This is on an A3 foam board. So these cost, let's have a look, £1.45 per board. The paper itself, which is the Fotospeed Natural Smooth 10, that one I'm going to do a video about soon, that's £3.52 per A3 sheet. Ink, just 73 pence. Total cost, £5.70. What have we got next? Oh yes, we've got a black and white image here. This is printed on Fotospeed's NST Bright White 315. That costs £3.24 per A3 sheet. The board, as I said earlier, £1.45. Ink, just 60p. Total cost, £5.29. Okay, moving up to A3 Plus now. So I've got a framed picture here, which I'm hopefully going to show you the right way up. I'm pretty sure when I held it up earlier, it was upside down. It's because it's near perfect reflections. I got it a little bit wrong there. So this picture of the Loch and Glencoe is on Fotospeed's, no it's not, it's on Fotospeed Legacy Gloss 325, one of my favourite papers. So this costs £4.40 per A3 Plus sheet. Ink cost me £1.03. The frame itself, obviously the most expensive item here, but it does look good, was £40.02, giving me a total cost of £45.45. A slightly cheaper option for doing A3, if I grab this one here. So this is a picture of Dorleshwarm Beach again, so have a quick look at this one. So this is printed on Fotospeed's Platinum Beretta 300, which is about £3.53 per sheet. Ink costs £1.19. And the display for this mount was about £8, giving me a total cost of £12.73. I do always like to show this particular image. I created a special video for this because I shot this image on a Nikon D80 some 10 years after the camera was released, and I think the resolution of this time I cropped and straightened out the lines is about 8 megapixels, more than enough megapixels to produce an A3 Plus image. So just to just to give you some heads up, you don't need 100 megapixel medium format monster to create large prints. Right, up to the big A2 size picture now. I'll grab this one off my picture ledge here. This is a picture of a beach on Harris. So this is printed on Fotospeed's Matte Beretta 310. An A2 sheet of this will cost you £6.12. I've got one of those A2 foam boards. They were only 80 pence, and the ink cost was £1.05, giving me a total cost of £7.97. That's that one. And the other one I've got here, this is Honeybag Tour on Dartmoor, and this one is printed on Fotospeed's Platinum Beretta 300. The board again 80 pence. The paper costs an A2 sheet of this is £6.48. The ink was £1.75, giving me a total cost of £9.03. The A2 print that you saw me print off and mount on my wall earlier, the one of Bowman's Nose, that was printed on Matte Beretta 310 as well. That cost £6.12, as just mentioned. The ink cost there was £1.34. The frame, big frame, £54.63, so that cost me £62.09. There's one type of photograph I do love taking, and that is a panoramic. Fortunately for me, Fotospeed do panoramic paper. So here I've got this panoramic image. This is of this is a view down to Luscombe Tyre. So this is printed on Fotospeed's Platinum Beretta 300 for a panoramic size paper. That is £3.60. Ink, it cost me £1.06, and the mount here was £7.58. So this panoramic cost me £12.24. Last but not least, and this is less to do with the cost of ink, I just sort of mentioned these spring-back binders, which I mentioned earlier on in the video. These are a great way of displaying sort of like a portfolio of prints. An A4 version like this one costs about £26.99, and then you've got the much larger A3 version here. This is £53.99, but these are all fully reusable, and it's super easy to get these prints in and out. So that's definitely worth considering if you've got like a large portfolio of images. There's nothing better, you know, you print this up, print your best pictures off, put this in a spring back binder, take this and show someone. That is much better than showing it on your mobile phone. That's just some very basic costs in the prints. There are lots of other things to take into account, but that really would be a whole other video. But hopefully that's given you an idea on how much it costs in ink each time you print. Generally speaking, you spend more on paper than you will ink. Is it worth it though? Well, that's only a question you can answer. But for less than a cost than a cup of coffee from a high street chain or McDonald's meal, the value you get from printing your own photographs, for me at least anyway, is money that I'm happy to spend. Right, okay, let me see if I can summarize this video. Clearly, the Canon imagePROGRAF Pro-1100 is a serious printer. Unless you want to print bigger than A2 or longer than 3 meters, this printer will not be the limiting factor when it comes to making your own prints. With the right source material, it is more than capable of producing professional results, regardless of if you're selling your prints, displaying them in the gallery, or just creating a piece of art for your home. Frankly, it's all the printer I need, and then some more. Aside from the larger print size of A2 that I was looking for when I got this printer, it also delivers a reduction in ink costs. Yes, the ink tanks are bigger and more expensive than my previous printers, but the cost per milliliter is almost half. I also appreciate that I can, for the first time, use Canon's accounting manager software to see how much my prints cost. I like the way it also includes paper and ink costs in the print log. But do you need to print regularly from it? A printer like the Pro-1100 is designed to churn out large volumes of prints on a regular basis, but that doesn't mean it needs to be constantly printing. I've had the printer for a few months now, and it's been left for at least 2 weeks in an idle state, and I've not had any problems when I do decide to make a print. In fact, I've never had a problem with any of my Canon printers with nozzles getting clogged up. My Pro-300 used to be left idle for weeks at a time, and while I do plan to use a Pro-1100 on a regular basis, I have no concerns about leaving it idle for extended periods of time. For me, it's hard to criticise the Pro-1100 as a printer, and if I'm going to really nitpick, the lack of a touchscreen seems an odd thing to admit in this day and age, but really that's about it. So should you get the Pro-1100? Well, that's not a decision I can make for you. There are so many factors and considerations that go into buying any bit of photography equipment, and a printer is no different. Only you can decide if you should make this your first printer or the next step up in your printing journey. But hopefully the information in this video has been helpful to you in making that decision. One thing I will stand by though is that no matter if you're selling your prints or displaying them at home, printing your photography is one of the best things you can do with your photographs. Nothing beats creating something tangible, something physical from your photographs. You'll learn so much more about your photographs and develop a greater appreciation for them when they are printed. Need more convincing? Well, I did a talk about this very topic at the Fotospeed stand at the photography show. I'll put it on at the end screen of this video and in the video description below. Well, that is just about it from this video. If you've got any questions or comments or any suggestions for future printing videos, please do let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.